y'all just are wonderful for laughing so much. And you know what? The thing that's crazy, this is like a confession, is I'm 43 and I have to pee for like the 5th time tonight. And I'm nervous, but when she was doing all this, I was like, man, look at that. I was surprised myself that I was as nervous as I was. I was like focusing on her grabbing her butt. You know, sometimes I really care, I guess, too much what people think about me. And even when I'm in the privacy of a public restroom, like I found earlier tonight, I was like caring about ripping off the toilet paper so it was even and straight for the next person, because I wouldn't want them to see like that jagged edge and everything. And I know that's kind of silly and that's crazy, but that's just how I am. I do stuff like that. And like the other day, we were at a restaurant, me and my buddy, and I had like this, all I had left was like a slice of onion. And the lady, the server, you know, she said, hey, do you want me to take that plate for you? And I said, no, I'm going to finish this. But then I realized it was onion, and I like changed my mind, and so I had my little coffee creamer thingies, you know? And I was chopping them up, and I was putting them in there, and my buddy was like, what the hell are you doing? And I said, well, I'm embarrassed because I changed my mind, and I don't want her to think I'm flighty or whatever, so he said, so you're putting them in the little tiny trash cans? You know, and I felt like some kind of Sesame Street shit that, you know, like I was like the, what is that, the guy that was in the trash can? What was his name? I don't remember. Oscar. Yeah. Oscar. And of course, you know, I have these notes up here, and so I'm determined to deliver these jokes. And it's not like UPS or FedEx or DHL, you know, DHL. It's like snail mail. I might have the wrong address, but I'm here and I'm going to deliver these freaking jokes. You know, sometimes, you know, you say things that you, like, intend to put people's mind at ease, but that has, like, the opposite effect. And at that same restaurant, my friend had, like, this meat sampler, and it had, like, country ham and city ham and sausage and bacon. And when she set the plate down, the bacon hit the floor, and she thought for a second, and she grabbed the bacon, and she's like, well, I'm going to mash this up so you know you're not getting this one. And it really didn't bring comfort. It was kind of like, you know, and then he said, well, probably that's going to end up in the next omelet. So it's not very comforting. And people, sometimes you have to think that sometimes if you say something that you think is comforting, it might have the opposite effect. And speaking of restaurants, you know, I can't stand a sticky restaurant table, and that's one thing here you'll notice that the tables are nice and clean and orderly and everything, but sometimes you go in a restaurant like Cece's Pizza. What is it, like a bunch of kids just run through here, and they're like, you know, like they thought they were a bunch of like doorknobs, and so they thought they were going to make the doorknob sticky, but it was the tables, and so they got confused. And, you know, it's just, don't really like that, you know, and I think that people should be mindful of the tables and make sure they're not sticky. So. And you know, one thing I do try to do, I try to be obedient, like I really do. I really try to be obedient. And no, I know I shouldn't do that, but I care. And so we were at a crosswalk the other day, and you know how the symbol comes up there, and I was trying to cross the street like this. And I wasn't disabled or anything, and there's nothing, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just saying, like, I was just like this, you know, but it was just because that thing was up there, and it was like, doot, 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 and I'm like, you know, and I thought I should do that, but I did make it across the street just fine. And actually, you know, I'm actually a plumber, so if you have a leak or something, you can call me, but I don't really, like, I've been doing it for 25 years, I'm 43, I'm pretty wore out with it, you know, to be honest with you. But I never forget, you know, because in plumbing, like, sometimes the truth is actually stranger than, or more compelling than fiction, you know? And I never forget this one time that I had the septic tank open, and there was a customer standing right next to me, and there was all these condoms floating on the top of the tank, and he said, what is that? And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to say it. You know, so I just stood there, and I just was silent, like dead-ass silent. What is that? What is that? You know, and I said, sir, they're condoms. He said, but 5 years ago I had a vasectomy, and the air was elastic retention. It's funny that she laughed at that, because I chickened out of being first. I chickened out, but it's not as, you know, you can cock in, but I chickened out. So, anyway, another funny thing that happened one time when I was answering the phones at this other company is that I started in the, I guess the fall. No, I started in July, yeah. And so then the fall rolled around, and this guy, this Asian guy, he calls in and he says, well, I haven't had hot water. You know, he's an electric water heater. And I said, how long have you not had hot water? He said, well, since the spring. Or, you know, it was a long time. And I said, well, how could you go that long? He said, well, you know, in summertime, you don't need much of hot water. And I thought, wow, that's pretty wild, you know, that you would go that long without hot water. I remember back, you know, growing up on Cape Cod. That's where I grew up, actually. I'm from Cape Cod originally. But my mom used to keep gallon jugs of water in the trunk of the car to heat them up. I didn't realize that was there. Sorry. And she used to rinse us off because they were warm, you know, from the sun hitting the trunk. It was pretty ingenious, actually. But we kind of felt like hobos, but we weren't. I mean, not there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I know if you go to, like, you know, Medical Center Parkway, there's lots of people that hold up signs and stuff, and they want you to give them stuff, and they don't keep their area very clean, though. If you notice that, there's all kinds of, like, shit by the exit, which I think they should. I mean, that's their workspace. You know, they should keep it clean. I try to keep my workspace clean. My truck is clean. But you know. But anyway, maybe there's a memo that could go out, you know, for them. I don't know where they would get the memo, but they could get it, you know, and then they keep their shit clean. Anyway. I one time had a lady accuse me of not being a plumber because she couldn't see any plumber's crack. It's really, I don't have, because, I mean, I'm not like her, you know, I don't do all that. But so I keep my shirt down, you know, but she couldn't see any. And I said, no, I'm a plumber. And I said, I wouldn't lift my right handle, because, you know, that's where I keep it. But, you know, so I'm a one-man operation. I'm a small business owner, and I have to develop sometimes catchy collections phrases, like, you know, where people owe me money and you have to chase after it. And that's where Lee's got it wired. You make sure you get the cash right there, everything is cool. But I can't do that. Sometimes I have to do a big job and then I have to finish. And then I'm like, oh shit, you know, they're not actually here. Like, they forgot their checkbook or whatever. So, you know, I'll say, like, have you refilled the ink on your check writing pen yet or something? Oh, no, you know, whatever. Man, you're really putting a tampon in my cash flow. I mean, money is the lifeblood of business, you know. Oh my God! So it's funny that I was thinking of, when I was thinking of that joke, I was thinking how, you know, that I adjusted the tampon in that joke to make it a little better, and I was telling my wife about that. She goes, no, she goes, women don't adjust the tampon. This is where men have a perception of women, you know. Women don't adjust the tampon. I mean, it's just in or out. I thought they adjusted it, you know, if they had like a different kind of flow or something, but, you know. Oh my God! Turn it up. Listen, a true friend, I want to tell you about a true friend. You know, a true friend won't just tell you that there's a bugger on your shirt, he'll actually wipe it off for you with his bare hand. So, if you want to be a true friend with somebody. Oh, look at this. This is a good one right here. Look at this one too. My son, who's 11 years old, he asked me, he said, why do dogs sniff each other's butts? And I said, well, of course, you know, for identification and kind of catch up on the latest and stuff. I said, but, you know, it's funny, it made me think that if dogs ruled the world, they wouldn't have like a fingerprint database, they'd have like a butt scent database. And then I thought the interesting thing about that is never before in the history of human verbal communication has the phrase butt scent database. And those words been put together like that. I was kind of proud of myself for that. I'll leave you with this one. Did you know Helen Keller? Did you know that she's actually the one that came up with that phrase? Do you feel me? Do you feel me? The hip hop crowd was very surprised to find that out, and they were pretty surprised also to find out who Helen Keller was. Thank you all.